Good morning, everyone. My name's Owen Phillips. I'm the CFO at SYSGROUP here on a cloudy day in Manchester. And my colleague next to me, Mr. Hijay Che, we will be here for the next 40 minutes or so and tell you about where we are in our journey and where we're going, most excitingly, where we're going. So if I just tell you a bit really about how this is going to go today, we're intending to have very much a forward-looking conversation with you. We're going to tell you about where we're going, all the things we're excited about, all the things that are going on. I should, of course, talk about the 6 months that have just passed, or certainly the results we just put out. Really to reiterate on those, revenue was flat, expenses were up, which was really related to our planned investment. It was absolutely what we knew we were doing and what we'd always intended to do, and we're excited to tell you about all the investment we've done. Cash is very much under control, and our balance sheet is strong. You know, we've raised circa between 10 and 11 million 4 or 5 months ago, and so the balance sheet is ready and everything is stable. So really, that's my half-year update. It's really going to be very forward-looking. I'm of course going to put you've seen the RNS with the financial results. We'll of course put some more color around them on the website. We'll put the P&L, etc. up there. But really, the financial results for the first 6 months are as I set out. Really, it's how we've set ourselves up to go forward, which is really exciting us and really getting us enthusiastic. So if I just jump to the next slide, what we're going to do today is give you an overview of where we are today, talk to you a bit about how we look at the business, this concept of future-proofing or AI readiness, and we're going to tell you why we believe SYSGROUP is different to, there's a lot of MSPs out there. This is why we're different. We're going to talk to you about Project Genesis, which is our internal transformation project, which is to AIify our own business. So this is something we're super excited. It's already in full flow, and we're excited to tell you about it. And really, we're going to tell you about our vision going forwards and where we sit in that and why we think it's such an exciting space to be. So if I jump to the next slide, today's proposition. I don't know, Hijay, yeah. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, thanks, Owen. Thanks for that intro. I mean, I guess it's been a year and a half. Can't believe time flies so quickly. But when I joined the company a year and a half ago, I think if I reflect back, we had limited capability and offerings. We're pretty much a private cloud, what we call SYSCloud provider, which is a technology that was losing ground to hypercloud, the AWS, Azure, and the Google, and really had limited growth profile. So that's like the dilemma at that point as a company in terms of the ability to grow. So the challenge was, if you kind of step back and look at a broader IT requirements in the tech space, what customers want was an end-to-end solution partner who can really come in and assess their IT estate and architect and implement and manage and support going forward. And really being able to only offer a limited offering along that technology suite was our limiting growth, and I think making us uncompetitive. So really, from our perspective, was to expand our offering. And the way we did that is first lay out and define what we thought was the core technology necessary for us to be able to be an end-to-end solution. And, the 5 pillars that we have laid out was analytics, connectivity, hosting across the different platform, not just whether that's on-prem, private cloud, or hypercloud or public cloud, but across all that, irrespective to meet the demand of the customer's need, protection and security. So those are the kind of the 5 pillars that we have defined, and we'll go later in our conversation to provide you a technical definition of each pillar. So really about, the much of the last 12 months for us has been building the capabilities to across those 5 towers, and there are examples that to validate the investments we made. We were very absent in the whole hypercloud space, and our investment has taken us from really not knowing how to spell AWS to becoming what they call advanced partner status, which is a 3-year three-tier status. There's one more above us, but to be able to accomplish advanced partner status in 6 months, which we needed to validate in terms of the accreditation amongst the both, not only the technical people, but also the salespeople, being able to deliver X amount of work stream and pipeline for AWS work. Again, all those things has been the work that's been going on for us to be able to kind of position ourselves as an end-to-end provider.
We talked a lot internally about future-proofing and AI readiness and where we see that as being central of what we do. And we'll talk to you in a moment about our Genesis project, which is our AI redesign of everything we do. We really just wanted to touch on the future-proofing point. I mean, there's some quotes on the screen, but really it is getting companies ready. Companies know they need to be ready. They need their infrastructure to be agile. And that's very much the way we're looking at our business, but also the way we're encouraging our customers to look at business.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I mean, I think I came in and really kind of took a step back and say, look at from a customer perspective, what would be the differentiation? What would be really the value that we can bring to our customer as a kind of the MSP and IT partner? And kind of reflecting back on my 20 years as a CEO of big businesses, whether that's Volex or Scapa, you know, my biggest challenge was really, I think, the challenge with the need to continue to invest to keep up with the new technology. It feels like, you know, and we have this chart on the screen that the cycle of refresh kind of gets shortened on an exponential level. And I used to have a conversation with my CTO when he came in every 12 months to telling me that I needed to spend another $1 million on something new technology just to keep up. And my biggest challenge, you know, my constant challenge with those guys used to be like, hey, why can't you guys now future-proof me? You know, to the extent that the foundation that we're laying on is something we can build on, that so that not every time we go through this exercise, it feels like we're starting from ground zero. And, you know, again, I think if anything else, that cycle of evolution or the refresh of the pace is increasing if anything else. And I think with the advent of AI, which we'll come back to, I think will just further aggravate the situation. So for us, you know, to play that role of being an end-to-end partner that goes from really assessing all the way to the management of their estates going forward, the fundamental messaging we have, and I think that the eye we keep on in terms of being able to have that conversation with our customers saying, look, what we're doing for you today is to future-proof you for that this rapid evolution of technology that will continue to change, and to the extent and make sure that we minimize the capital investment you need to keep up with the latest technology that's coming to the fore to make you competitive and bring out kind of the best competitive advantage that you can bring to the table. And the reason, next page, the reason we are kind of a lot of the businesses in the state they're in, and really I think the conversation that I used to have at Scapa or Volex will happen is because the traditional approach of IT and MSP is, as you can see, very disjointed, not only from definition, execution, but management. Really, I think with the increasing variety of technology, whether that's security, whether that's hosting or whatever or not, is creating the fragmentation of decision, not only at the customer basis, but also on the suppliers and the partners, right? I mean, I think if you run any mid-sized business, I think if you go through your list of contractors, you'll see so many different people that are, you know, resellers, consultants, product experts, implementation guys, managers, management of the implementation. And really that creates really, I think, a disjointed and a very, not, you know, present looking without really thinking about what is 2-step, 3-step ahead to come. So, you know, from our perspective, with that in mind, as we had the luxury to, I think, build out from scratch, I think that given that we only had one capability that we started with, and really kind of look at it as a startup with that blank sheet of paper, we kind of took if I'm a customer what are the type of partners that we want, and what are the conversation we would like to have. And really, I think that's the page that that you see on your screen is how we approach them. We say, look, how can we not only be advisor but be an expert on what we consider a highly opinionated view of what is the best practice in tech term, what is the upper right quadrant of Gartner chart, and be able to kind of architect our solution around that, but at the same time be able to be conversant across the entire technology and be able to give you why our proposition is better than other, but at the same time be open to the customer's need and to their legacy infrastructure, and provide a really, I think, optionality, and be able to give you a sound advice of what is the right and wrong for you, and not push a singular solution. And from also, I think we've been also trying to make sure by understanding the ecosystem, the reseller as well as the distributor, which is really at the part of the overall tech ecosystem, and being able to understand how to navigate to be able to make sure our customer gets the best price, best cost, and best value that's available. And ultimately, obviously, I think we want to manage and support. And I think this is going to become a bigger issue as the technology becomes more complicated, as evolves much quicker. And, and we'll come back to when AI, makes a landing in the UK. I think the ability to support it, so the business who really does not have the skill or the competence to be able to manage themselves, and can focus on their core business and leave this technology management and implementation to a third party who they do day in, day out, which is us. So from our perspective, if you kind of peel that into the next layer and saying, look, what does that mean from an offering perspective? So, and I spoke to you earlier in the presentation about our 5 pillars. So for the techies out there, what we kind of looked at is like, and essentially we talked about this before, is really we follow the data. We fundamentally believe technology today, it's about how do we monetize and how do we leverage data that every business creates day in, day out, whether that's through our ERP, CRM, HR system, just web, email lists, and such. And to that extent, we looked at just the transgression or the value chain of the data, and really looked at, how do we host data? How do we protect data? How do we connect data? How do we secure data? And how do we analyze data? So those are the kind of the offerings that we have laid out as a kind of end-to-end solution that we can go to our customer and saying, look, we can help you across the entire estate and provide you a solution. And I think we highlighted in yellow, those are what we call legacy capability that existed pre-year and a half ago. So as you can see, it's pretty nominal. And the key investments we made is really, I think, twofold. On the analytics side, that's a brand new. I mean, that's really, I think, what makes us different than most MSP. And in a sense that we have a full data management capability, as well as the AI, ML, machine learning model design capability, and implementation and support capability. I think you will find very few MSP that has that. Equally, on the hosting side, we were able to expand our optionality beyond just a private cloud of SYSGROUP. And really, I think, as we talked about, invested heavily on AWS, as well as a modern workplace, which is Azure or Microsoft. That really, I think, puts us on the forefront and be able to have that conversation, because everybody's going to public cloud, and not being able to follow our customer or lead a customer to that space was a highly detrimental to ability to have a really, I think, sensible conversation. So really the investment and the progress we made on the hosting element is huge. And obviously kind of, it goes without saying that in every company, cybersecurity is high on the agenda. And to that extent, to be able to really, I think, for us to cover that end of the conversation, us investing into our capability across cybersecurity, whilst we had a couple of solution in, technology in our cybersecurity portfolio, we further augmented. So, I mean, for example, Zscaler, we became, one of the 2 managed service provider that in the UK for Zscaler, which is upper right quadrant software in cybersecurity space. Same with the CyberArk. We became an advanced partner from a transactional partner, again, showing the investments we made, because to make the leap in that status is not just growing the revenue with them, but also making sure we made an investment in our business, in our people, to get the accreditation and have the capability for them to consider as such. And as you guys know, I guess 6 weeks ago, we made an acquisition of a consulting business, cybersecurity consulting.
Yeah, Crossword Consulting. So we're really excited about that. As I say, really great customer list where they do recurring managed virtual CISO. They also bring a really skilled pen testing unit that we're excited to push over and introduce to our existing customers. It really looks really interesting and really exciting, the stuff they do.
And if we have to say ourselves, it was a decent value, wasn't it?
I think so. I think it's good.
And what was the purchase price? Remind the audience.
About 300K, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, it's about 2.5 million revenue, so about 20% EBITDA kind of business. So I think and it's a great reputation. The customer base is amazing. So I think we're already seeing the benefit of cross sells, and really I think it puts us in a different entry point when we're having a conversation with this, CTO or CIO or CISO, right? And being able to have what I call a seat on the grown-up table is what's allowing us to do. And I think that really, gives us a full suite of cybersecurity. I think that really kind of, the front foot of the conversation is cybersecurity, data analytics, and hosting cloud solutions. So for us, biffing that capability across our portfolio solution, along with that protection and connectivity, I think has been really the main priority for us as a business. And really, I think, the next page, this kind of, it's for me, the landing point. And this is like what gets me excited and gets me out of bed every morning, I should say, night as well.
This is why I joined.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think we can debate what is AI. And it's funny. Today, there was an article in The Guardian I forwarded to you, which is like, apparently the number one question that, people ask Alexa, which is the AI tool for Amazon, is what is AI, right? Define AI. And I think that really kind of speaks to where UK is in terms of their understanding of AI. And I think it's a bit nebulous and people really don't appreciate what's the value proposition of it. But I
think everyone wants to understand it, but at the moment
they can't see and touch it.
It's too abstract.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, look, having said that, I think living in that space for now 3 years and consuming it every day, I believe, I'm a firm believer AI is the most consequential development of our generation. I think it's going to change the world, and definitely will change the business as we know it. It will be the most mission critical aspect of what company needs to adopt to be competitive going forward. But I think everybody will admit UK companies are not prepared, and I can see that in my conversations with my colleagues, the CEO, the C-suites, the boards I sit in. As much as they understand intellectually, from a skill set perspective and knowledge perspective, they are just not ready to implement, but moreover, manage AI. And I think that's the more scary bit than implementation, because end of the day, AI is a living creature, and you need to manage it for it to work. You can't just turn it on and forget about it. So I think as soon as people appreciate that, they realize they need help. Someone who can manage the service, that can provide a holistic solution. And I think there will be a demand. And let me rephrase that. I think having an AI managed service provider will be essential for any business to embark on this AI journey. And we believe that we are positioning ourselves to be the answer to that need. The 5 pillars as we laid it out, I think it's unique. I don't think there are very few people, if not any, in our space that can provide that proposition. And to answer that question that people are asking Alexa every day in the UK, we want to demonstrate that. And we want to do that by pointing the tools and the capability of AI internally. We are going through our own transformation to take AI from proof of concept to realization. And I think that's going to be really powerful, because I think people are just waiting for a proof points.
Yeah, I memean, I'm so excited about this. We initially raised it in the business many months ago, and we had so many ideas for what people wanted to do, for what people thought could be improved, could be made more efficient, and really kind of maximize the potential of AI. We've done a complete review of our business. I'm talking from sales, service desk, down to finance, HR, really the full spread. And we've really looked at how we can improve our processes and really embrace AI and future-proof ourselves, to use that phrase, make ourselves AI ready. We started this project with a whole load of objectives. I've listed them on the screen. I won't read them out. And really, we were looking at the full end as to where we could get the most benefits. And we almost very quickly agreed that the single place that we get the most value, the most return on investment now, is the service desk. I mean, do you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, don't forget that SYSGROUP is a collection of, I think, 4 or 5, if not more, acquisition in the past 5-6 years. So it's really typical of all the MSP that's out there in the UK, which is, they grow through acquisition. And I think, SYSGROUP ran into the challenge that every other MSP go through, which is like, how do you achieve synergy? Where the integration? What is the integration challenge? And if you kind of step back and look at any MSP, 50% of the census, if not most of the headcounts, is with the service desk. And really, that is an area where, if you look at where does the integration need to happen, that's where the opportunity is. And the traditional way is just people will just put at 1 + 1 = 2. So if you buy an MSP that has 50, let's say a service desk headcount, and you buy a company with another 20, you end up with 70 headcounts, and really not achieve synergy, because the way that process is set in all MSP, and I find it interesting how consistent it is across the board, is a very job shop and very manual. There's very little automation involved with it. And, I think by looking at how can we augment and automate the process, we saw a significant opportunity to improve not only productivity, but the quality of the outcome. Because end of the day, one of the main things that suffers, and I think, if you guys run a business and your MSP comes to you saying, hey, we were bought by a bigger MSP, which is an everyday narrative, the first thing your IT guy will tell us saying, ooh, let's hold our breath because our service is just going to deteriorate. And I think that is the aspect of it that we thought with AI we can resolve. So,
we can actually improve the service.
Absolutely. So being a manufacturing guy, if you guys know me, I ran manufacturing, and it's all about process mapping, Toyota lean manufacturing. So first thing I did, let's go to the next page, Owen, is mapped out a process in a service desk. And for the operational geeks out there, you guys will look at this and understand the process flow chart. And we really looked at it and saying, okay, where is the bottleneck, and where is the kind of the biggest impediment to get the product from one end? We call it tickets. When a ticket comes in through the door and goes out to the resolution aspect of it. And just looking at it from a flow perspective, we were quickly able to identify a few areas that will significantly resolve the problems. For example, this is as basic sounds today. So most IP MSP today, when a customer raises a problem saying, hey, my internet is down, or my firewall has been jeopardized, or my system has gone blank, an engineer gets your ticket and looks at the problem and goes through a few manual process saying, hey, if he has a native knowledge because he dealt with that customer for years and on, he can easily resolve it because that's a repeated problem. But if it's new to you, you look at to the guy next to you saying, Owen, hey, I just got a call from Duke of Edinburgh. Did you have this problem before? And Owen says, yes, I know the solution for that. Or if Owen says no, then I go through my search of all the historical tickets and saying, hey, is there one that I can pull out? Which is a manual process and takes hours, if not days. Then if that doesn't solve it, they go to a technical manual to look for the solution, which is, again, very manual process. And thirdly, and lastly, they even resort to Googling a solution or now ChatGPT. And that really took about 70%, as we measure it, throughput time. We have created what we call an info finder AI tool.
I was going to say, yeah, we found out that they spent more time working out how to fix the problem than actually fixing the problem.
Right. So, this tool that we created is literally, the engineer cuts the email or the portal that has information, loads it into this AI model. And first of all, by specifying what customer is from, it'll pull up all the tickets in the history that this customer raised with the specific problem. So again, the engineer can quickly, if the problem matches the historical problem, be able to provide feedback very quickly. But secondly, then feedback internally to saying, guys, this problem keeps recurring. Let's go relook at the architecture and be proactive with that customer in providing a solution. And so simple things like that. Not only does it do that, so if it doesn't have a similar ticket, then you'll go again to the broader database of our tickets across all our customer base, and again, pull a similar solution. And along with it, the AI tool will pull the technical definition solution for it, because we have put we indexed all the data of our technical manuals. So, it automatically pulls out the relevant section on the technical manuals that exist in our SharePoint or in our data lake and provides it to the customer. And then, this is the clever bit, then it also, we have this tool in Copilot, but it writes its own email as a solution. So from an engineer perspective, all they need to is really look at the solution and saying, does that make sense? And just kind of proof point it and press a send. So, we have done a simple implementation, and this is still early days. And we've seen our SLA, which is a service level agreement. So what we promise our customer, how quickly we'll respond to our problem. It's gone from in the high 60s to high 80s today in a matter of weeks. So, really, I think some of the benefit of this tool is it's kind of, so self-evident. And really, I think for me, this is, I think if you follow AI, you will hear about how the biggest and the easiest area to benefit from AI is in the call center, service desk, areas like that. And I think, we can definitely see the opportunity there. And we're targeting 50% increase on the efficiency. Go ahead.
Well, no, absolutely. There's so much efficiencies and just quicker, easy way we can do things, and it's such a crucial part because it's a massive part of our staff, but also it's the key interaction with customers. So it's so crucial. The service in managed service partner is all key.
No, exactly. And look, what's interesting has been also for me, as I'm learning about this industry and really seeing a lot of the companies, other MSP out there. It's amazing how consistent how people do their business. Is that as innovative this industry is, how people do their business is so antiquated and so I think manual.
Yes.
And I thought it was us, the SYSGROUP, were different, and we were just doing poorly. And every MSP I've spoken to and looked at, I'm realizing is exactly the same, which kind of like for me was a light bulb moment, an epiphany moment, which is like whether you look at a big MSP role of play or smaller one, and I think their ability to grow and their ability to integrate and their ability to demonstrate synergy is it's challenging. And once you understand why, I think what the problem is. And really it comes to our ability to really, I think, automate and augment, because the biggest synergy, if you think about the economics we just went through, right, which is that 50% of your cost basis in most of MSP lies with the service desk. The only way you really can achieve synergy is to create efficiency in that domain. And really, unless you are relooking at how the process works and really looking at the tools to support and augment this, your engineers, it'll be difficult to achieve that synergy, because there is that manual element in every MSP. And I think our Project Genesis is going to significantly help us to solve that problem. And with that in mind, look, we're thinking there's about 30,000 MSP in the UK alone. And we genuinely believe that our Genesis platform around service desk. And funny enough, we took this solution last week to Las Vegas to AWS reInvent, which is the flagship event for AWS. About 50,000 people come to really hear what's the latest on AWS. Because our platform, this Genesis platform, is run on AWS cloud platform. We were invited to present our Genesis solution to reInvent, and I think that speaks to what we're doing. It speaks to our capability, and I think it speaks to that what we're doing is interesting and people see significant value, right? So for me, I think having this tool will be a huge competitive advantage as we look at opportunity to acquire other MSP. And I think that's a value creation stream that I'm quite excited about.
Yeah, I mean, and it'll be acquisition, but it will be, I think we talked about it internally as importation. If we can really get everything right, we can buy MSPs and slot them in,
right.
And they'll join an existing infrastructure which is defined and set out, and therefore, these things are not easy, and a lot of people have found them difficult over the years. But we think we'll have a platform to really do it quickly and at scale.
No, exactly. I mean, I think we call it. If you look at the dynamics of most MSP, it's like average about 100, 200 customer. I think 80-20 rule applies, that 20 to 40 customer drives bulk of the revenue. So really onboarding 20 customer, and our engine, our Genesis tool is really, a facilitator of customer onboarding. It's a simpler way of looking at it, in terms of what integration means in our space. So I think that's really kind of, if I were to summarize in terms of how I'm thinking about what does the future vision of the SYSGROUP is, really, we want to become the AI MSP for the UK SME.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a clear need for that. I think there's a pathway to it. I think where we are today, so we want to make sure we are the partner that can advise an end-to-end solution for our customer that will help future-proof their technology investment. Because the reality is that the velocity of change is going to accelerate. And with the advent of AI, where you don't want to be caught out is that, hey, your technology and your infrastructure is obsolete and you got to rip it out and start all over again. And I think partnering with someone that you can, whilst you're getting the best of solution that exists in each of the technologies tower, the upper right quadrant of Gartner, but yet it allows you to future-proof, I think is the proposition of today. But equally at the same time, we want to be on the forefront of this AI wave that is coming, trust me. And what we want to be able to demonstrate to, not just to you, but everybody else, is that the benefit and how AI works. So if someone asks, what is AI? What does AI look like? You don't have to ask Alexa. You can come to SYSGROUP and I'll show you what AI looks like. And for us, that is going to be the biggest marketing That's what's going to convince the customer saying, hey, AI works, because AI implementation is a journey. It's not, buying a SaaS off the shelf and putting it in and turning it on. We have spent a year and a half of hard work to get where we are, and being able to say, look, we are on the first step of AI journey, and we are already seeing the benefit, and we're excited about it, and we want to share that case study with you. But the hidden weapon that comes out of this, the hidden value proposition, is obviously that once we deploy the Genesis internally, it creates a framework for us to grow, not only organically, but inorganically.
And it's a mindset around the company. It's really a way of thinking. It's a way of looking at decisions through this lens, and it's about always thinking about that infrastructure that we need in place that we can then build on top of.
Right. Yeah. Look. So I appreciate today's format was a bit different than the traditional flipping the page and reading the numbers out. But I think we have a unique story, and we wanted to have a conversation and share with you what we want to achieve here. Because I think just looking at the 6 months number and saying, hey, you're plus or minus, I don't think really captures what we want to do. And I think we want to share with you kind of the excitement and kind of the opportunity that SYSGROUP represent. We are a believer. We are personally invested. This is the what we are committed to, not just from a professional perspective, but I genuinely believe I'm an evangelist of AI. I genuinely think we want to do good for the UK economy, UK PLC, by providing this service.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, this is why I'm here. He just sat me down for dinner and told me the vision, and I bought in, and because it's exciting, but it's also where we're going. I mean, it sounds cliche to talk of waves and stuff like that, but it really is. We want to be at that forefront, at this opportunity to really be involved and really be leading the way. So it's so exciting at the moment.
Yeah. And look, I mean, from our perspective, if this format was not exactly what you were looking for, but you have questions, obviously we'll take the next time to answer the questions that got asked beforehand, as well as the questions that are coming online. I don't know if there's any new questions coming through, but equally, look, we are very open. Owen and I, you can reach us out. Our email address is firstname.lastname@sysgroup.com. Please do reach out. We're available in online or in person. We're based in Manchester. So yeah, no, look, any questions you guys have, financial, strategic, operational, more than happy to sit. I think people who have dealt with me in the past at SCAPA and SYS know that I am very open and transparent, and I think I will continue to be. So with that, what questions do we have?
So I've got some that were sent in, I believe, over the last couple of days, and then I can see some, so I'll try and read the ones that are appearing in the chat. So just on the ones we had already, before a new chair stepped in, the acquisitions made by SYSGROUP increased revenues but were not earnings accretive. This is also reflecting the share price. What do you think went wrong, and how do you think about acquisitions going forward?
Yeah, I think we covered that, in my, in the presentation, which I think the challenge is that the integration, right? I mean, I think the reason why an acquisition is not coming to the bottom line is that you're not achieving the synergy in the key area that needs to be integrated, which is service desk. As I said, the traditional approach, and I think this is not just SYS, but across the industry, is that you just put together the service desk and really not look to how we can change the flow and help the service desk to be able to create a synergy, being the manual process as we laid out. I think the process flow chart that you saw in our presentation, if you put it up against that, take it to any MSP, will agree that's the process. So given that, it's hard to achieve synergy unless you introduce a new business framework, a process flow, or new tools, such as we're doing with Genesis.
I'll take the next one for a finance one. Do you have target percentage of recurring revenue you want to maintain? MSPs that have high percentage of recurring revenue get higher valuations. Yes, absolutely. We want recurring revenue to be high, and recurring revenue is high. Recurring revenue will always be a key part because it's managed services. Even with the CISO business that we bought, a large bulk of that is recurring annual contracts. That the percentage, if you're talking to a percentage, will fluctuate depending on when we have high value transformation projects. But those, those are great. They may impact the kind of, I guess, the recurring element, but they will drive recurring revenue going forwards. It's those high value transformation projects that are the way in to then, and we'll manage that for you, and we do this managed services. So it may fluctuate slightly, but it's always going to be high, and it's always an absolute key KPI of the business. EJ mentioned you have a plug and play platform for integrating acquisitions. Can you elaborate how that works in practice? I think we probably covered that.
Yeah, I mean, Genesis is that kind of the tool to be a plug and play.
Can you elaborate on the AI ML offering that SYSGROUP wants to build? Is this going to be recurring revenue or consulting stream?
Yeah, no, I mean, as I think we want to be, so AI is not, plug and play. It's really something that needs to be assessed, architected, implemented, and managed and supported going forward. It's a transformational process. So from our perspective, the AI is going to touch all elements of that. And I think from our perspective, the end goal down the line is to be the MSP for AI. So in terms of what's unique about us is that in the AI space, we can cover all element from data management to machine learning algorithm design, to training the model, to maintaining model, and supporting the model. So I think that is, very unique that we can provide that capability and solution with the context, with the infrastructure into the conversation, instead of just being a consultant that coming in, give a solution irrespective of platform that it runs at, or the infrastructure guys who do not have the capability and might be putting a solution that is disconnected to the AI capability or requirements.
The second part of that question, actually, how long does it take to have an AI ML solution for a client from design to production environment?
Well, that's a tough question, and because I think it really depends what's the starting point for the customer from there, how the data is the state of their data, and how do we kind of get the data in the right shape, if that's what's required. But along with that, it's really what's the use case. I mean, if it's a very narrow definition of use case, but then it turns into a bit of a gimmick. And I think, again, AI is something that, it's a transformational tool. It's not, AI is not something in itself. It means, it's a business transformation that is enabled by AI. And it's more than just kind of, plugging a model out and dumping it into your computer.
Yeah, and I would add to that, and we've seen on some of the projects.
Yeah, we're doing it ourselves, aren't we?
Well,
right?
We've seen on some of the projects we've done externally that we will go in and do initial kind of health checks or readiness checks, which will be a kind of consulting engagement, and then we will make recommendations to your infrastructure, which will lead to infrastructure improvements, investments the customer might need to make in certain areas, which they're willing to make because they know they need this. And they've invited us to advise them on this. Yeah. And then we've, as I say, so there's been various layers of infrastructure we've built before we've even started the proper kind of AI ML, and that leads to this managed services point of where they need stuff done to their hosting. They need all these sorts of steps completed. Otherwise, it really is, it's just not going to help them.
Right. No, exactly. That's it, is it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Shall I jump to the ones in the chat? I'm going to have to bend over a bit. This.
It's the same thing, oh, there's more coming up. Gary, what are the anticipated impact of the investment in AWS and Azure capability on your market positioning and revenue growth? I think it'll be significant. So, I mean, look, it's early days. We achieved our advanced partner status literally, I think, last month. And our engagement is just at the nascent stage. We are seeing opportunities. I don't know if you know how the AWS framework works, is that once you reach a certain partner status, you co-market with them. They give you market funding, rebate funding, and such that actually, elevates you in terms of the competitiveness across the market. So, I think that puts in a good stead.
Yeah.
So from our perspective, that's early days. But having said that, look, I mean, it's so, we think it's one of our priority thrust in terms of go to market. So we think there'll be benefit to that, but it's hard to quantify at this point. Yeah. So this question is from Richard. We got lots of questions coming in. With a strong cash balance of 9.93 million, how do you plan to allocate this capital or growth? Will it be primarily fund acquisition or internal transformation project? So, I mean, we have already made a lot of the investments. So in terms of the cost to be able to deliver the priority projects that we have, I think we have reached a cost basis that we're comfortable with. That's not to say we won't make further investment, but
there's not huge additional capex or anything.
Correct.
For internal spend.
I mean, I think if you go to our presentation, investment presentation, we show you some of the kind of the shift on the headcounts in terms by function, and we have doubled our engineering headcounts or technical headcounts, whilst we have reduced some of the admin costs and some of the non-technical resources. So we've been very judicious about our investment on people and make sure we are not cash consumptive. So where we are at the baseline today, we are not cash consumptive. So from our ability to grow organically, we don't, I am making sure that we are not dipping into that cash unless it's a clear opportunity. And again, look, I think that strong balance sheet enables to be very opportunistic with the cross-border acquisition and really capture value. So, we are going to look to, spend our money on acquisition, but I think we'll be very judicious in terms of how we go about spending our money. Given access. Are there any legacy issue from the previous management which are still to be resolved? This is I don't want to put up our own dirty laundry, but gotta say we pulled a lot of hair out dealing with legacy problems, and much more than we expected. He was full-headed hair when he showed up a year ago. I mean, it's been challenging. Having said that, I think a lot of that is kind of over. But I think the biggest legacy challenge that we have overcome, and I would say we have overcome, is really, I think, regaining the trust of the customer. I think, every customer visit I had, every time was a very antagonistic. It was definitely not a partnership. And a lot of the customers' feedback was like they were being held hostage by us. And I think that's gone a long way in terms of being able to create a partnership arrangement, an agreement, and having a discussion instead of confrontation at the customer's level today. So I think that's been really, I think for me, the hardest element to overcome.
Yeah, and I think for me, the challenge has just been when I turned up even 8 months ago now, it still felt like a company that had bought 4 or 5 different companies. It had 6 offices when I joined. We've now consolidated into 4, and they were all kind of doing slightly different things, and they weren't properly integrated. So what the big exercise has been trying to integrate everyone, trying to get everyone on the vision, on the mission, move people around and really make it feel like one company. And that's one of the things we've achieved.
Yeah.
And you can just feel the way that different salespeople are talking to each other now, and the way we're doing more cross-selling rather than previously. A customer typically would only buy 1 or 2 things, and they would come in from one of the acquisitions originally.
Right.
Now we're cross-selling more and more.
Well, we only had 1 or 2 things to sell historically. So now that there are other more things to sell also helps that conversation, doesn't it?
Sure.
Yeah. When do you expect the first large AI order? How large will this contract roughly be? How do you price contract in the new area? I mean, I think, we are actually, one of the areas that we're excited about is the pipeline around AI, AWS, because it's kind of, a lot of the AI element happens in the AI AWS platform. So that pipeline is growing. I think we have some really interesting projects in our docket that is progressing well. I think on the first instances, a lot of the work will be a consulting projects. So it'd be, kind of professional services as we are doing the assessment and development of the solution. And I think that would migrate, go into implementation and hopefully, ultimately to the support. So those are kind of the lifeline or the value chain of an AI project. And in terms of, what's the large size? I mean, each step is kind of has priced on its own, and in terms of the time it takes to deliver that project and assignment. So, in terms of kind of the assessment and the architecting a solution, let's say it's usually 2-3 months, and we apply day rates and all that. So, I mean, that's like somewhere in the 50 to 100K on average, you would say, right? That kind of project. Some will run, obviously bigger than that. There's been the shares at an all-time low. Don't remind me. We have seen little insider buying. This doesn't add up to the amount of time exciting was used in the presentation. So first of all, I did buy. So, I bought, I think, day after the results. But let's not ignore. I mean, I think from an insider perspective, when we did the rights issue 5 months ago, everybody kind of invested, all the insiders. And I don't know how rich you think we are, but writing, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pound check, it's meaningful. It's not something we can do every 6 months. So I think hopefully you guys are a bit sympathetic that we did, all of us, a board member and management, wrote a significant check for poor people like us 5 months ago. So, there's only so much liquidity we have in our balance sheet personally and all that. So
yeah, and just say I still feel just as excited as when I invested then. Like nothing's changed fundamentally for me. In fact, I'm kind of more excited. You can feel it coming together. So it's all positivity for me.
Yeah. We're veering into politics, so I'm going to hold judgment on the whole, my opinion on that. What percentage of client is likely to take on your AI proposal? I mean, I think that's an interesting question. Really, really good question. I mean, I think, if I'm very honest, I don't have a really clear answer. I think, a lot of our customers, and I think, are curious and interested. I think really what holds back from people in terms of getting on the AI bandwagon is not as much as scale, but really, I think where their starting point is. I would even argue, and I think this is proven out in the US, which is like the people who are benefiting or who are engaging in AI more so than established business is actually the startup and the smaller businesses, because I think they'll have a bigger ROI because they don't have that kind of fixed cost that they got to worry about. It's a classic innovator's dilemma that people are going through. So I really think it's not the size of the customer that drives whether the adoption of AI will happen, but really I think the mindset and the use cases that will apply. Having said that, I think in the short time frame, I think every business needs to look at AI. I think it will be as I said, mission critical.
And part of the reason for Genesis is really to give us something that we can go and show about, look, this is how we did it, because we kept getting asked, well, tell us about how you use AI. We were interviewing people and they were saying, well, tell us about the AI tools you use. And so we recognized we needed to build this, in part because we need to be there, but also it's such a great marketing tool to show people how we use it, how we've done it, and give people something to touch and feel and kind of, otherwise it does remain as to kind of an idea rather than something concrete.
Yeah, I agree. This is the last question, unless something new comes in. How developed the international U.S. managed service provider in AI? clearly US is a front runner, and I think a lot of the activities and investment is going in the US, and I think UK is significantly behind. And I guess from my perspective, I look at that as an opportunity. I think if I go talk to kind of my peers or others in the US saying, hey, what do you think about UK market? Everybody goes like, well, really, we don't see opportunities there. And no one's willing to kind of invest into the UK yet. And I think that for us give us, I think, the opportunity to solidify our position. And I think gain a first mover advantage. So, I think the analogy I always kind of use is that we want to be the Seattle coffee of AI, for those who remember Seattle coffee. So I think with that, I think it's the end of all the questions. So I'll turn it back to the moderator.
Absolutely, Hije. And if I may just jump back in there, thank you very much for your presentation and for answering all of those questions that came in this morning. But Hije, perhaps before really just looking to redirect those on the call to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to yourselves and the company, if I could please just return to you for a few closing comments, just to wrap things up, that would be great.
Yeah, no. Well, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today, and secondly for showing interest in SYS, and for those who have invested, for investing and trusting your money with us. I am, as you know, kind of my history. I am a believer in what we're trying to accomplish here. This is actually, I think, I don't want to say it's a job. It's like a vocation, a religion, and evangelism in my end, because I having been in the seats of my customers, of running businesses, I know the value that we can bring to them. I think there is a huge white space. I think customers, companies are realizing the opportunity this provides for them. Equally, I think they recognize the threat that this brings to them. So I think it's inevitable that AI will become to the forefront of a lot of the companies and will become mission critical. We are at the early stage of our journey. I think it's a bit fallacy to say this is a continuation of the old SYSGROUP. I think if you were to come in today and really look at who we are as a business in terms of our strategy, our proposition, our people, our culture, our value, is fundamentally different. All essentially, if I'm going to kind of trivialize it a little bit, is that I took SYSGROUP as a shell business, and really I think invested to create this something unique, something that's different. And I think the opportunity that we have is tremendous. And I think we are making significant progress to it. So yes, I appreciate that as a public company, we got to deliver numbers. And I appreciate we missed our revenue. I appreciate there is an expectation out there. Having said that, I think in the context of what we're achieving, what we're trying to lay out in terms of the 3 years to 5 years target, I think we are well on track, and we're quite excited about the opportunity that this business represents. Look, I've been around the block in the public market. I took my share of beating, so I'm a big boy here. I battle scars to show for it. So, I think I understand what you guys are looking for and what your expectations are. But again, I think in this market, and particularly with this current public market environment, I think from our perspective, you need to kind of step back and look at what is our vision, what's our strategy, and look beyond just 2-3 numbers that gets posted every 6 months. So again, thank you for your support. Again, we're open for any questions, any comments. Again, both Owen and I are readily accessible. We gave you our email address, or just drop us a line, and more than happy to have a dialogue and conversation and explain our business better to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. That's great. Hijay, Owen, thank you once again for updating investors this morning. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the management team can really better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of SYSGROUP PLC, we would like to thank you for attending today's presentation. That now concludes today's session, so good afternoon to you all.